So you came here to upcycle your denim jacket. I found mine at the thrift store for $2. Let's get started. I will list all of the materials in the description of this video. Also, if this is your first time watching, welcome in. If you are a returning subscriber, welcome back. If you are part of the Purple Patch crew, welcome in, baby. I appreciate you for joining the channel. And if you catch this on the replay, thank you. I appreciate you. And don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Let's get started. So this is my $2 thrifted jean jacket, and it is a size, just so you know, I'm working with a size large, okay? This is going to be my accent fabric that I'm going to be using is 100% authentic African cotton fabric. So let me show you what to do with the jacket first, okay? So what I want to do is take my jacket, and I'm going to be cutting off the bottom hem of this jacket. But before I do, I want to measure it just so I can get an idea of how much material I'm going to need for the bottom of this jacket. So I'm just going to start measuring from one end to the other. And I have about 45, close to 45 inches. So that should be the width of my fabric. I think the width of my African fabric is 60 inches. But let's check it and see. So I'm going to just go ahead on and cut this off first before measuring the fabric. And I'm going to leave about maybe like not even a half of an inch of the rim. Of the fabric attached to this edge, because I can use this for something else. So I'm just going to carefully cut this out, and I'll show you about how much I'm leaving around the edge so that I can use this for something else, okay? So I'll get this cut out, and then I'll show you the fabric. So this is my last cut to take off the rim, the hem of the jacket. So I'm gonna just sit this to the side and pull in my fabric, okay? So let me show you what I'm going to do with the fabric. So this is the pretty side of the fabric, okay? And then this is the wrong side of the fabric. And it's kind of hard to tell because this fabric, you can see through both sides. However, if you look in closely, this side has a little acid looking wash type feel to it and look. So anyway, this is about a yard of fabric. And what I'm doing is I'm folding my fabric in half lengthwise, just like this, okay? And then I'm going to take the side that's open and I'm going to fold it. I got a little crinkle in here. I'm just going to fold it to the edge that's closed. So you should have 4 layers of fabric. This that's open and on the end, and then this that's closed should be folded in on itself. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to measure 3 inches down from the top. And I'm going to mark. This is creating my peplum for the bottom of the jacket. So I'm going to mark about 3 inches down from the top. And then I'm going to mark 3 inches across at the top. And then I'm just going to connect this half of a circle together. And sorry, I am going to add 5.5 inches of the peplum to the bottom of my jacket. So I want to measure 5.5, and then I'm going to add about 1/4 inch of a seam allowance because you don't really need that much. So I'm going to mark my fabric just like that. And then I'm going to come over here and do the same exact thing. And then I'm going to take it and go over here and do the same exact thing. I'm using the same measurements. And then I'm just going to eyeball me a curve connecting those marks. And yes, I am marking on the right side of my fabric. It's going to be okay. So this is what you should have, or this is what yours should look like. And so now I'm just going to cut this out. And then I'm going to cut out this bottom. You can use your rotary cutter if you would like. Okay. I'm going to have to do that twice. So now I'm going to be able to connect these pieces, sew that down, and then I have this piece. And once I connect those pieces, I'm just going to continue to add until I get all of the pieces that I want. Okay. So let me cut out the next one, and that's that. So I'm just going to use this as my guide. And the reason I did not cut this to be one full piece is because I find when I'm creating ruffles or pleats, it's easier to do it when you have joined the fabric. But I'm sure there is a better way. Somebody will probably say it's a better way to do it, and that's perfectly fine. So instead of cutting this diagonal on the line, I'm just going to come out a little bit, which gives me a little bit more fabric. Okay, so this was with that, and so now I have these pieces like that. I'm gonna join those two together, and then I have this. So now I want to measure each piece to see how much fabric I have, because remember the bottom of my jacket is about 45 inches. So I'm just going to measure around to see how much I will have. So I have about 22 inches for this, and I'm sure this is the same. or about the same. It may be a little shorter. So I'm going to just say about 20 inches. So that's 42 plus these two, which is 11. 11 times 11 is 22, and 22, 44. So I have about 84 inches with this, and you want to double or triple the number so that your pleats will be nice and even. Okay, so we're gonna go to the sewing machine now. The only thing I'm going to do with this fabric is I am going to cut a couple of notches just so the fabric can relax. I'm gonna snip it just in this curve. This is gonna be the part that I'm attaching to the bottom of my waistband. And then we're gonna go to the sewing machine. So I'll finish doing that and I'll meet you at the sewing machine. So here we are at the sewing machine, and just to be transparent, I did cut another set of this. So we have about 120 yards of this material, 5.5 or so inches. Okay. So I'm gonna start attaching my pieces and just sewing them down. I'm gonna use about 1/4 of an inch seam allowance as I sew them down, and you will be able to see this come together. Okay. And I am using just a regular standard presser foot. My stitch length is going to be at 2.5, and my tension is at 3, between the 3 and the 4. I'm sorry. And my stitch is in the middle of my presser foot, and I'm going to just use the edge of this presser foot as my guide, my seam allowance guide. So I'll sew about a couple of these, show you what it looks like, and then I'll come back. And just for reference, this is pretty side to pretty side. So you just face this down. This is just for somebody who's new at sewing. It's pretty side to attach them together. Back stitch at the beginning and the end. And so with the notches, where I help to relax my fabric, let's see if you can see those cuts? That just allows your fabric to flow. Okay, so that's going to help you in a little while. Okay, so now I'm going to attach this side to this side, and I'm just matching them up according to how I cut it. And then I'm just going to sew the same 1/4 inch seam allowance, using the edge of my presser foot as a guide, and also nothing has changed on the sewing machine. And you just keep attaching each piece until you complete all of the pieces. So let me show you. This would be the next one. And I'm going to attach it just like this. I know the fabric is busy, but it's so pretty. You just got to make sure you're sewing the right side. And I am okay with leaving the salvage edge because I like that look, but you can definitely cut that part out. So you just keep going and going, and see if I hold this up, you can see how the shape is already coming together without any effort. It's because I relaxed my fabric with those notches. Okay, so I'll continue to place all of these and show you what it looks like when I'm done. So I have all of this sewn. All of these is sewn. And then, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do my hem. I'm going to hem the bottom of this. And the good thing about Ankara fabric, African fabrics, or very rich textile fabrics like what you can see from front to back is you don't have to have a backing. So you don't have to have a lining fabric to hide this fabric. If I had a piece of fabric, I want to show you, but I don't have anything close that, wait, let's see if this does. I know I shouldn't even be doing this, but I am. So if you had a piece of fabric that had this white lining in the back of it, you would probably want to line it with a lining fabric. But being that this fabric is so rich front to back, you don't have to line it. Okay, so anyway, the next step is I'm going to hem the bottom of my material. And this is the back side and this is the front side. Hold on, I need to turn it this way. I'm still going to be working from the back. I'm going to be working from the back so you can see my seams. Okay, I'm going to be working from the back. But I'm right-handed, so I have to turn it another way. So all I'm going to do is fold my fabric up about this much. I'm not gonna I'm not measuring it. This is just fold and fold twice. And then I'm going to take it to my sewing machine and I'm just going to stitch and fold all the way down. Nothing spectacular, okay? And my bobbin thread is black, but my top thread is blue jean, and that's so I didn't have to change it when I start working on the blue jean jacket, okay? So I'm just gonna put a little notch in some of the curves just so I can fold it over nicely, okay? So I'm just going to do this, and I'm just going to continue to do this all the way around, this whole thing, okay? So all you have to do is fold and stitch. Now, you can take it to your iron and fold down twice and then iron it down. I'm not going to do that because that's going to take too much time. I'm just going to create me a hem all the way around as I go. And even if it's not even, that's just what I'm going to do, okay? Because it's kind of hard to make edges, hems for curves without cutting and snipping the whole way through. So I'm going to continue to do this all the way down all of this fabric, and I'll show you what I've done when I come back. So just to be transparent, I got tired of folding this over. So I'm just going to serge the edges and then fold it over one time and sew it down. Yeah, because ain't nobody got time for that. Okay, so, and I'm going to disengage my knife because I don't need to cut off anything. All right. And I'm going to open my seams up. I'm not going to leave them closed. I'm going to open them up and serge. And I have all black thread on my machine. Okay, I'd have been all day trying to do that. So that's what my edge look like now. And I'm done. So I'm just going to flip this one time and sew it back down. So I'll go back to the sewing machine. Let's stop this. So I'm going to take the tail of my serged edge and I'm just going to tuck it underneath and then roll this down. And then I'm going to just sew all the way around. So now I'll finish all the edges with the serge edge. And this is going to make it go so much faster. Don't know why I didn't think of it from the beginning, but something just clicked in my head and I was like, girl, you got a serger. Go serge those edges. So now I don't have to worry about if it's neat, because it's going to be neat. So once I finish this, I'll be back. Okay, so here we are back at the table and we have our jacket. So the next thing I want to do is find the center points of the jacket. So I'm just going to fold it onto itself and match up the seams. And I'm just going to notch it. I'm just going to give myself a little notch right here. All right. So I can open this back up and flip it on the right side. So you should be able to see the right side. And for my peplum part, I mark my peplum in the middle, if I can find it. So this is my middle. I just use some chalk, children's chalk, to mark that, and so that I can see the line. So what I want to do is, this is the pretty side of my fabric. This is the pretty side of my fabric. I want to flip it pretty side to pretty side of my jacket. And I want to find my notch, which is right here. I want to find the center of my fabric, which is right here. And I just want to line those two up together, edge to edge, edge to edge. Okay? And then I'm just going to pin or clip right here. I'm going to get my clips. So when I get to the sewing machine, it'll be a little bit faster. And you just want to pin the center. Find the one end of your jacket. Find one end of your jacket and take the end of your fabric and match it up with the edge of your jacket. The very edge. And I'm going to clip this. And then I'm going to find the other edge of my jacket, making sure that this is not twisted. I know it's a lot going on, but just make sure that it's not twisted. So when you get ready to sew it down, it will be on there straight. Okay, so I'm just trying to find the other edge, and I'm going to clip this to this edge. So this is what it should look like so far. Find your center, find the center of your fabric, okay? And then don't worry about this right now. Just make sure that you have this edge attached to this edge, and then the other end, the same thing. You just want the edges to be attached, all right? So now I'm just gonna work with one side so you don't get confused. And what I do to this side, I'm going to do to the other side. So I'm just going to show you, and I'm gonna move my pocket back because I don't want to pin this to the fabric because I don't want to lose my pocket. So pin that down so it'll stay out of your way. If you have a pocket, you may not have a pocket. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to take whatever this fabric is that I have from the middle pin to the edge of this jacket, okay? And I'm going to just find the center of this piece. And I'm just going to take my edge and bring it to the center of the pin. So now I'm finding the center of this fabric. Just like that. And I'm just going to mark it. Okay. So now I'm going to spread this back out. And this is just me doing this. And I don't know if I even told you, but this is my first time doing this. So I'm finding my own way to figure out how to line this up. So this would be considered the center of this piece in the middle. And so I'm just going to take this and match it up to the center of this. So this will be my first starting point. Match this center up. And so now I need to gather all of this within this front, this right here. And then my next section will be from here to the middle of my pen. To the middle of my pen. This is the center of my jacket, okay? So I'm just going to lay this out as flat as I can. I didn't realize that this jacket had a little stretch in it, so this might make it a little difficult for me to work with. And I'm just going to start clipping. And I am not measuring. If you want to measure, you can. I'm just kind of like eyeballing where I want my pleats to be and how I want them to look. So if you look right here, you can kind of see the formation or what your pleats will look like, okay, as you're going. So I don't have, there is a method. You can use a method, calculation method. I don't normally do a lot of calculations unless it's very, very necessary. But I want you to know that this is your jacket, your creation, your whatever. So do it the way that you like. And so what I'm going to do is I did 3 on this side. Now I want to come over here and make sure that I can get the same 3 on this side. because I don't want one side to be fuller than the other. And pretty much this is what I'm going to be doing all the way down till I get all of this fabric cinched up on the jacket, on the edge. And your pleats don't have to be gigantic. You just want enough where it will fold over. Then I'm going to try to get one in the center, just like that. All right, and so when you finish this and you flip it, this is what you're going to have at the edge. Oh my God, isn't it going to be so cute? So I'm going to do the rest of this, and then I will meet you at the sewing machine when I'm done. And we will see what this looks like. So, do you think we have enough clips? And I hope that the fashion pleat police comes to watch this video so that I can make them mad. Because if you mad about this, baby, find you something else to do. Okay, so let's go to the sewing machine. Let's go to the sewing machine. All right, so we're at the sewing machine. And all I'm going to do is just sew all of my pleats down. I am going to get my little stiletto just in case I need to help push my fabric through. So this end is my stiletto. Okay. And it just helps you to feed your fabric. And I'm just going to try my best to hold on to all of this while I sew it down, okay? And with this, I'm going to be using a 3-inch millimeter stitch. I'm changing to 3 inches because I'm going over a bunch of fabric. Let's do 3.5 stitch length. And I'm just going to get close to the edge of my serged edge. Let me show you what I'm talking about. I'm going to be sewing. Right across the bottom of the serged edge. This is the top, but I'm going to be sewing so that when I flip this, you won't see that line. The line, the thread. So now let me get this back how I had it. And I may not catch it all the way down, but I'm just going to try my best to catch it. So that's leaving me with about a 3/8 inch seam allowance. I'm going to back stitch. And every time I come up to a pleat, I'm just going to make sure that it's underneath the presser foot. I should have brought my can over here. And you're just going to keep sewing until you reach the other side. And notice that I am kind of back stitching over the entry of the pleat. So when I get to the pleat, I do put a little back stitch and just keep going. And I think it's because it is more layers when you pleat it. So it will be like the jean and about 2 to 3 layers of fabric, plus the serging. That gives it a little more weight. So I just kind of back stitch. It may just be in my mind, but that's what I'm doing. Okay. So I'm just going to continue to sew all of this, and I'll come back when I'm done. Okay, hold on. Let's see. Yay! I finished sewing all of the back to the bottom, and now I'm just going to top stitch all the way down. Just make sure you pull your fabric down and top stitch it down. So I'm just going to top stitch, and I will be back when I'm done. I just kind of wanted to tell you that. Okay, that would be your next step.